Welcome back to a new YouTube video. In today's video I have a game played in 2003 between Judit Polgar and Anatoly Karpov. Judit Polgar with the black pieces and Anatoly Karpov with the white pieces. White start with d4 and black respond with f6. Knight f3, pawn h6, pawn c5, preparing the Queen's Indian defense. And all these moves are standard. Incredible how this chess player in the year of 2003 knows a lot of books move. And knight c3, all these top level ng moves. Knight goes to d5, queen goes to c2, and black trades the knights, taking the initiative in this game. Queen goes to c3, pawns goes to e6 to avoid a future bishop to g5. Pawns goes to e3, knight goes to d7, all that standard. And here would be better to move the bishop and preparing the castle for white. And this dot is an accuracy. It's a good move because in the next move black is preparing a castle. Bishop b2 and castle. Now the black king is safe, completely safe, and rook d1. This is an accuracy. It's a good move though, but again this king is unsafe in the center of the board. It could be better to push the pawn up to e2. Pawn a5, preparing an attack on the queen side of the board. Push the pawn and rook c8, a great move. Now this rook is doing an important task. Could be push the pawn, the c pawn, and open the file to attacking the rook indirectly. Queen goes to b3, avoiding any attack of black. Push the pawn. Now this is the reason because the rook is placed on c8. Take the pawn, and now the file is open, and the rook on c8 is very powerful, and though the rook on d1 can be placed on c1, is not so powerful because the king is still on the center. Bishop b5, telling black that I want to trade bishop, but Judit plays a very powerful move. Bishop b4. This is a very amazing move. Now white has to move to avoid the check, and the only move is to take with the pawn. And now this bishop on b5 is the most powerful piece for white at the moment, because it's the only who is doing something. And now this bishop is very powerful, and it is avoiding the castle of the white king. Now the white takes the pawn, and this bishop is stronger now because now he's attacking the queen and at the same time avoiding the castle and preparing take b by a5, taking the pawn. Queen goes to a c3, but it's simple. Black can simply take the pawn. Now the queen cannot take the pawn because the pawn is very protected by the queen. Queen goes to d6, though this is a good move, but this is not doing anything to prevent this powerful attack of this bishop. This bishop always is going to stairs to e1 square. Bishop goes to a safe square, and now the whole line of C line is owned for the black rook. Pawn d5. Though this is a strong move, but this is a very scary move for white because it's opening a file, and the king is still in the center. Rook c2 becoming more powerful. The rook now is controlling this square twice and attacking at the same time this bishop that has to move now. Rook d2, telling black, okay, you have a very strong rook and I want to trade. And black tell, okay, but it will be better to recapture with my queen and preparing mate in one. Of course, white cannot allow that and come back the queen to a square where is doing something. Take the rook. This is a very powerful rook. Now the queen can go to the party to c4 and creating a mess it up the position for the white king. King takes. This is the only option because this king cannot castle anyways, and if they take with this knight can jump to this position and going to create something very bad for white. Knight goes to b6, queen goes to c3, offering the trade of queen, but of course black cannot afford that because now is preparing a very strong attack, so it's no good for black. And king goes to c2. At this point of the game, it doesn't matter if the king goes to c2 c1, but c2 looks more reasonable because the rook can place to c1 and manually place the king to b1 and creating a castle. Push the pawn, and now white has a pass pawn, but this pawn can be destroyed in every step. For example, here with the knight, here with the bishop, here with the rook and the queen. King goes to b1. As I said, is the same here or here because this king is going to be placed on b1. Queen goes to g4. It would be better to consolidate this line of the board, but this attack looks stronger and force white to do something. White could place the rook on g1 and force be passive all the rest of the game, but of course white cannot afford that because all the position will collapse soon. Therefore, rook goes to c1 and do something. Rook goes to b1, and now this bishop cannot move. This bishop cannot move because any discover it will be serious problem for for white. Rook c2, and now black can consolidate slow and simple, consolidate the position. Now that this move cannot move, because this is doing something, avoiding any discover for this rook. This queen and rook is waiting into a move of this knight. It's very strong knight, and with a little of luck can create a check and annoying check, but of course black cannot allow that. Push the pawn, and as I say, this pawn is not scary at the moment, and black plain and simple, take the pawn, because this pawn can be stopped at any moment. And now this knight is hanging. This knight has to move to another square, and he does. Goes to d2, and clearing a check. This king has to move. Now the problem of a discover is no longer a threat, but now the pawn is being taken. It would be better take the knight, but again, when you have a very strong move and any of the enemy pieces can move, you can allow yourself to take any piece that doesn't mean to trade stronger pieces. Queen goes to c5, attacking either of these both pieces, but this is the next is a very strong move and simple, and the move is rook c8. Now the queen cannot take either of these both pieces and has to move, and once that this queen moves to a safe square, obviously black is going to take the rook, because now the combination between the queen and the rook is very strong, and it's the reason because Anatoly Karpov resigned the game and Judit Polgar become the winner of the game. And it's all for today, and thank you so much for listening to me, and see you the next video. Bye.